Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wrestling Around episode number 17. It is a it is a different name this time. It's defining somebody's wrestling persona, and this guy is actually a tag team specialist. Well, I couldn't say that, but he was part of a famous tag team stable in Extreme Championship Wrestling, or known as ECW at the time, which is not even existing anymore. Well, in our hearts, it is. Well, at least in my heart. I haven't watched, and honestly, I'm telling you my honest opinion. I never watched ECW. At the time, I looked back at ECW brand and look at some of the ECW guys like Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam and Sabu. But this guy is kind of a lesser known guy if you want to catch up on lesser known ECW originals. Well, he is going to come on shortly. He is part of the Dibaldi Stable, which is like a I didn't say like a well-known team, but it's kind of like a lesser known, but has a little has some famous aspect to it that has makes it infamous. So we're going to wait for him to join here, and I will probably introduce him. Oh, hello everybody, and I forgot to introduce myself. Hey guys, Kyle Clark here, K Clark KO. Welcome to Wrestling Around. So, we're going to wait for our guest to come on shortly. In the meantime, well, he's going to get set up and join the Zoom in a second. So, how's everybody doing today, the people watching? I've been doing good, if you're asking that. So, I'm just waiting. I got a lot of questions for him, or at least a good amount of questions. The people who are going to be watching either on Periscope or YouTube. If you are a fan, if you are a wrestling fan, all right, hold on. He's about to come in. I'm about to introduce my guest at this time. He is a ECW original. He is one part of the famous tag team ECW, the Dibaldis. Welcome, Angel Medina, the Kingpin of ECW. Thank you for coming on with me, Mr. Medina. How you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good. How's the weather there? Where you are?
Oh, it's okay.
It's kind of the same with me. We're getting like 80s and 90s where I'm from.
No, I got you.
So your story begins like with beginning in wrestling, more famously in ECW, where you became an ECW original and forever an ECW original. Through all the matches that you've had in ECW, which memory of ECW that brings you to like the center point of your career?
Well, probably my matches with New Jack. I think that was the most pinnacle thing in my career. It goes for that.
Mm. I, I'm glad that you brought out New Jack. Rest in peace, man. I've I've had several ECW guys on that to interview their story about ECW and as a whole. First, to ask you, would if it was today, would you prefer the ECW the company or the brand that WWE was trying to present afterwards?
Oh, it's the company because yeah, it's the company. I don't. The brand was just totally different concept, and I probably would have not survived during that time frame.
Mm. So, What was your favorite matches or favorite matches of ECW you remember being in?
A lot of my favorite matches was Balls Mahoney, um, New Jack, RVD. Kid Cash. I mean, I had a lot of great matches. Jerry Lynn.
Mm. A lot of those guys just, it's like as it goes on, like all these people from ECW kind of like pass away suddenly. Like lately, we lost New Jack. I honestly, I had I have to tell you a little something real here. I had Just Incredible on, who I think you worked with in
Oh, really?
ECW. Yeah, and I kind of like asked him about the mass transit incident that he was involved in with the little kid, like really controversial, and then like a week and a half later he kind of passed away, which was I did not know at that time that it was pretty
Yeah,
much a coincidence. But
I
well,
got you.
moving on from that, what is your favorite opponent besides being in the matches? What is your favorite opponent that you worked with in ECW?
It's kind of difficult to pinpoint, but let me think for a second. I want to say Danny Dorian and Roadkill. I always had fun with them. Nova.
Mm. Um,
Yeah,
Mr.
Nova and Chetty.
Chris Chetty, he's pretty, pretty good choices. Do you have any stories to tell us from you what you had to experience either in the locker room or in the ring or like the crowd or like any stories that stand out that you could share?
It depends on what kind of stories you're referring to. Are you referring to like fights? Are you talking about, like just drama? I mean, it just depends on what you're telling me. Like
Um,
what kind of story? I'm just curious. I mean,
I
I got
see.
lots of
I see.
stories. I just didn't know
I
what
see. All
what
right,
you're looking for.
that's fine. It can be anything if you want it to be like preferable, like like the different like funny stories that's kind of like if you tell it to some type of journalist or like a wrestling fans of that were a fan of you back in the day, what would you they would like to know?
I think that the funny story is always Vic Grimes always having issues with Tony DeVito and New Jack. He was a likable guy from my end. I liked him. He was a good dude. It's just that he was always arguing with Tony DeVito. So I
uh,
kind of like that. Kind of like made me chuckle because they was always at each other's throats. Because Vic Grimes was always the type of guy that was not all there. I mean, I'm not saying he was stupid. It's just he just always messed up a lot of times. So it kind of like got DeVito hot up in the collar, basically.
Let's see. Moving back to New Jack. Well, you are really familiar with this story while you're being in ECW at the time. That Living Dangerously pay per view of 2000, where Vic Grimes fought New Jack with this little. There's a spot that they had to go like a high spot, and then New Jack pulled him down, and then Vic Grimes just landed on his face and at like a future event, like to get him back for karma, Grimes. I mean, Jack just got threw Grimes off like was supposed to land on the tables, but he intentionally wanted to give him real instant karma for kind of landing on his back, landing on his neck or head. Um, what was your initial thoughts when that first went down at the Living Dangerously pay per view, and what came after that?
Um,
Hold on, it's hold on. It's kind of hold on. Let's see.
doing it.
All right, the connection was unstable. That's
Sure,
a
no
little bit.
worries.
All right. So you were saying something.
What did I lose you at?
Um, when you were about to start talking, it kind of like
Oh,
broke up.
I think yeah, when I was there it was kind of difficult because I seen it at first hand. Because originally I was supposed to fall off that scaffold, and I decided to change. It changed because I just felt it was unsafe, and I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. So Vic Grimes decided to take my place in regards to that fall. So I mean that was something that was very very difficult to see because if it was me, it probably would have been ended up differently. But since Vic is a very bigger guy, he just landed on Jack and caused him some serious injury.
I see. So you're telling me that you were supposed to be part in that spot?
Yeah, that was my spot. I was supposed to fall off that.
You were kind of like kind of nervous doing the spot, like
No, it's not that. I wasn't kind of nervous. I just didn't think it was set up correctly. I just didn't. I felt it was unsafe because I was asking for certain things.
Oh, it's like done. how you were positioned in that spot.
No, it was because when you looked up and there was no stability, meaning there was no way to get your footing to do the spot. Because so if you look at the video, it was those things are used to stack chairs. And when I looked at it, I knew I couldn't do it because I needed some type of footing. So I wanted them to put some form of plywood to at least keep it leveled, so at least we had some footing. But they didn't have time to get that plywood to do it. So when they said they had him at time, I said I ain't doing it because it just looks unsafe. So I wasn't scared. I just knew it was unsafe, and I didn't want to do any risk my friends' life in regards to that.
I understand. So it's basically proper footing, you're saying.
Correct. I mean, if you look at the video, you can see how they're standing. It was just it was not balanced.
I see. When you started your early wrestling career, you were put under the wing of Mr. Johnny Roth. What was your like memories like early in the business, and how did it feel like to train under the wing of Mr. Roth?
I mean, Johnny is like my dad. I mean, he raised me. I mean, not say raised me, but I was 17 when I started with him, so he was like a father figure to me. He kind of guided me of wrestling etiquette, how to act in the ring, how to act outside the ring, how to work out, how to eat right. So, I mean, he was very influential into my career. So to this day, I still keep in contact with him.
I see. So, what was the origin of the Dibaldi Stable? Like, were you Vic Grimes, Tony DeVito, Vito LaGrazzo, and Rod Price, and all those people kind of like gotten up? What was the origin of the Dibaldi Stable?
It was basically, I think it was in Michigan, if I'm correct. I mean, basically, the origin was just that they came up to us, and it was Paul Heyman and Tommy Dreamer that came up with the idea. I mean, basically, what they did was just come up to us and say, "Hey, we got this idea. This is what we want to do. We wanted like a debut tonight in Michigan." I mean, there's a video of it on YouTube. I have saved that will. It was I come out, beat up on Spike Dudley, and then the group comes out and we attack Spike Dudley, and then New Jack comes out. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was like I said in Michigan, and that's when the group first formed.
What was your favorite memories from the original ECW?
My favorite memories?
It doesn't have to be when you're in like the types of match that you're in, but like when you were watching backstage, like the match go down, like from like the original ECW, like right before it's closed.
So what's my favorite match, or just my favorite?
Yeah, favorite memory of all time. It doesn't have to be a match.
It's just being family, man. My favorite memory of ECW is we're all about family. I feel like Fast and Furious of Vin Diesel talking about it's all about family, but that's what it was. We were a close-knit group. I mean, there were cliques in there, but we were still close. It's just that we hung out with certain people, like we drove, we ate. It was just part of the wrestling culture. But regardless of the fact, I mean, even though we had cliques in there, we were still family. We hung out, we laughed, we had each other's back. So my favorite memory is just the bond that we have to this day with ECW.
So, throughout your tenure in ECW, you were mainly a part of the Dibaldi Stable for most of your career in your tenure, then your stay there. Was there any plans, but right before it's closed, or they had like the people like Paul Heyman or Tommy Dreamer had lined up for? Like if there was any title shots, like they were proposed to you, and they were just planning that right before, like even though if they didn't know that ECW was going to end real early, like in 2001.
So you saying like title shots?
Like it doesn't have. Well, I'm not saying like tag team title shots, like when like singles titles or like mid card title.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, at the time, it was in the works that the Bulldog were going to win the tag titles from Danny Dorian and Roadkill at that time before this company closed. So that was the angle. Because if you watch the Massacre on 34th Street, I can't remember which one, but that was when Steve Corino and Justin Credible came out and battled with the Baldies to the back because they were trying to form the new Impact Players, which was going to be Steve Corino and Justin Credible. So the story that I heard back in the days, it was that the Baldies was going to win the titles, you know, against Danny Dorian and Roadkill, and then we were going to do a program with Justin Credible and Steve Corino.
Let's see. So I'm gonna give you like a couple of the people. I'm gonna give you like a few people that you worked with back in the ECW original company, and I'll just tell you if you want to do honest opinions or if you want to have if you had issues with the individual or like like whatever happened in the ECW, you could tell your honest opinion. That's what I'm saying. Taz.
Go.
I never had an issue with him. I mean, we didn't get along. I mean, I'd say we didn't get along. We were just not close. We were from the same school. I mean, he was trained under Johnny Roth. I have no issues with him. It's just that we didn't click. I mean, it was just not funny.
Rob Van Dam.
No, I love Rob. He was awesome. We had some good matches. Real awesome work. He was pretty stiff, but still a great guy. Never had an issue with him. Very humble. Yeah, we have a good relationship. With that, to a level. Yeah.
Sabu.
Sabu the same way. Never had an issue with him. Great guy. Pleasant to be around with. I mean, again, we weren't buddies and we hung out after the show, but when we saw each other, we were cordial and, hey, how you doing? How's everything, brother? And stuff like that. But again, I wasn't part of that clique, so we didn't hang out and partied or stuff like that. We were just seeing each other high and by type of stuff.
Vito.
Big Vito, yeah. Vito's from Gleason's. He's from the same school. I mean, I know him since I was 17. Vito's funny. I mean, he's a very hard worker, very energetic. Very serious about his craft. A lot of people don't get along with him because of his how he is, but once you get to know him and you see how kind, good-hearted he is, you can get past that, but you have to get past that rough exterior that he is. I mean, and I'm used to him. I mean, that's Vito's Vito, we always say. So I just have nothing but love for him. But at the beginning, I hated him. I couldn't stand him. I put his heads together, but he was just trying to teach.
Rosie, I'm sick of you. Fuck.
So. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna do it here. You guys can go.
Sorry,
I
have family here, so don't mind.
No worries.
Okay. Rhino.
Terry's a good dude. Rhino's a good dude. Again, he was part of like Steve Corino clique. Every time I see him, we hug. How you doing, brother? I mean, we have a good relationship. But again, there was certain people that I hung out with that I was close with. That like Danny Dorian, Roadkill, Chris Chetty, Nova. Those are the people that I there was more, but that I frequent with in the locker room. But Rhino, again, very humble guy, very loving guy. Never, not a bad word comes out of his mouth. I have nothing but high praise for him.
The person that kind of like went off script during a WWE taping where he said he quit, Joey Styles.
What about him?
What was your honest opinion about Joey Styles?
I love that. I mean, Joey Styles again. I mean, he always was nice to me. He always many times he came up to me, hey, can you wear this shirt? Because he was helping promote certain things, and I was always willing to help him out. Always put me over on TV. Always made me look like a monster. I never got if you say if he has an ego, if he had a bad attitude problem, I never seen that from him. Again, we were cordial. I enjoyed being around him whenever I was around him. But like I said, Joey's just a very professional type of guy. I liked him a lot.
Well, We'll do one more with the people, and then we'll move on to the other questions. And the boss, Paul Heyman, with the people who brought you in.
Oh, Paul is Paul. I mean, like I said, I'm mad at him for what happened. You know, the closing, the money that was owed, the promises, the lies. You know, yeah, absolutely. But he's he's a very good speaker. He was very gave you a lot of encouragement. You know, made it seem like you couldn't just go through a brick wall. You know, because he had that verbal judo. So I mean, like I said, I'm mad at him for the things that happened. But I don't, you know, it's been so many years that I'm kind of like, you know, I forgive him, and we see each other, we're cordial. I don't want no harm to come to him, but you know that I mean, if business wise, you know, he fucked shit up and he messed things up in the business for us. But again, I mean, I'm just torn in between. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, hey, he's a great guy. I have no problems with him. It's just the jokes. You know, like if somebody asked me, yeah, he owed me money. He bounced checks. You know, he made promises he didn't keep. I mean, that's just the normal because again, that's how we deal with the stress of that time when we didn't get paid. So we just make jokes of it.
Well, during the time in 2001, as you're aware, you could be aware, about the invasion angle where you know WCW and ECW originals like combated with WWE's originals, and was there any chance that that WWE tried to contact you at the time to be part of that angle?
The only time that I ever knew that I was going to be contacted was when the resurrection of ECW. They were looking for individuals to be part of that brand. But they did reach out to me. I did speak to Tommy Dreamer, but unfortunately, you know, he just said, "Hey, I just mentioned your name. I put the people that I think that would have been beneficial within the company, and it's up to them to see who they want." So after that, when I spoke to Tommy, you know, he mentioned about how much we were paying, and it was not enough, and I was working a real job, making a decent amount of money, so I didn't want to quit my job to make that type of money.
Hmm. If when you're not taking wrestling bookings, if well, are you? Before I ask that, are you? Did you retire? Did you
I'm
retire
not
from
really
this?
retired. Wrestlers never retire. I mean, I'm kind of on a hiatus. I do wrestle on occasion when I feel like I want to. But right now, since I'm at that age where I'm getting up there in age, I'm really focusing on my podcast and other avenues of trying to using my celebrity status to take me to the next level because I can't wrestle forever, and I don't want to
Yeah.
wrestle forever. I love the business,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'd be fair to my fans. Um, it'd be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not giving them 100% in the ring, so that's why I'm just like not really adamant of going in the ring and wrestling because I just don't feel like I'm at that level anymore. It's you know my game.
Yeah. Um, so moving on from that, what do you do in your pastime when you're not taking occasional bookings from independent promotions?
It's like what I do in my spare time.
Yeah.
I work on my podcast. You know, I also associated with Wrestling with Tragedy with Vince Russo. So I'm in collaboration with him. So I work with doing my podcast there. I have another podcast under the MWA Podcast Network, you know, called Killing the Business. The one with Vince Russo is called Wrestling with Tragedy. So those are the things I do, and I focus my attention on that. So, you know, definitely definitely check that out if you ever want to listen to my podcast and stuff. It's pretty entertaining. But we have other ones in the MWA podcast network, or also the Russo brand on the Realm channel. Definitely a lot of great shows on there too. Stevie Ray, you know, myself, Big Vito and his wife. Just so many wrestlers. You know, Stevie Richards, Ben Hameen, just a whole bunch of shows.
You know, you're not the only one. They're not the first one that actually, is in a podcast. I had another ECW original, Chili Willie, on here, and he was actually doing this exact same thing that you were doing.
Yeah, I see Chili Willie all the time, and I know that I've been seeing that he's been doing his podcast religiously. So yeah, he's been doing good.
Besides wrestling, do you try your shot in other sports?
Other sports,
Like like
I do
golf.
judo. I do judo. I lift weights. I'm trying to maintain my stay healthy. You know, so yeah, I do a lot of stuff like that. I just trying to maintain my stay healthy and doing that all the time.
So growing up, when you were before you were before your training with Johnny Roth, who was your wrestling idol that you kind of like looked up to get the motivation to get into the ring?
Hmm. Oh, yeah, but I just say like Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen. I mean, that's what started me in the business. Like watching wrestling on TBS. In regards to Clash of Champions, Sting, Lex Luger. I mean, I watched it all. Magnum TA, just all those individuals that got my juices going in regards to wrestling.
So, do you watch like current WWE or AEW programming?
To be honest, I rarely watch it, but I kind of look through it. But I don't sit there all day to watch it.
Let's see. If you had to pick one, like currently right now, what would you pick? AEW or WWE or any other a major promotion like independent, like Impact or ROH? On
It just doesn't flow with me. But
I think it cut out again.
oh, what part?
It's like it displays the screen that said your internet connection is unstable and then it returns to normal. And
Yeah.
then, so you were about to say something and then it just got and you were about to speak and then it just cut off.
I say ROH and NXT. I think that's pretty awesome to watch. I don't watch wrestling as much as I used to, but if I was going to watch it, those are the two shows I would watch. I don't watch Impact because it's kind of it's kind of watered down.
How was the locker rooms when you got a chance to take a booking and just like gotten in the locker rooms of either like independent promotions or ECW in general? How was basically the locker room experience? Like getting to know all these new guys and visiting old friends from ECW and beyond that.
Elaborate on that question. I want to make sure I got it right.
All right, so what I'm saying is like, how's like the experience of like going into different other locker rooms and like the ECW locker room, the independent scene around the independent scene, or the occasional bookings that you take in your spare time that you feel like I'll take this booking that somebody wants me to book like some other independent show.
What can I use?
You get to know the other new guys.
Do you have like an old sheet I can put on the counter?
Wait. Like, kind of. Hold on. I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I can hear you now.
I honestly don't.
I say the ECW locker room is the best locker room there was because, like I said, we were family and I enjoyed it, and there was no egos in the locker room. I'm not saying any place else had egos. It's just that's where I had most of my fun and I enjoyed it. So I just say being in there was the best part of my life.
Was the traveling like from different states or different countries, like when you were tying with ECW and other independent promotions, was the traveling kind of like waning down, or like kind of when you get the point like I don't want to like travel everywhere that I'm booked, just like I can't take it, I get
Disgusting. Just make sure you not put plastic pieces and stuff. Okay. There was like a 4-hour spike or something that we did that blocked the hole up. I had to block it.
Oh.
But if I had a good people in the car with me, then it just made time go by quick.
Well, you kind of cut. Like I said, you always that's why I told you about Zoom. Like it kind of gets cut off a little bit, but
No worries.
I got what you're saying. It's like the people that you're suitable with, like in the car with you, just like traveling to these places to get to know them better, and just to have a better experiences with them and have a better match.
Absolutely.
Um, so even like after ECW folded, you're familiar with the ECW brand that I previously mentioned. There was besides the one night stand events that I will get to in a moment. One of these pay per views was the failure of a pay per view December to Dismember. You might have heard of it back in
Mm-hmm.
2006, where
Yes, sir.
Bobby Lashley was that in that chamber match and won the entire thing, and had these other guys that were not really much on ECW except like Tommy Dreamer and a couple of other guys in there like Rob Van Dam. Uh, what was your honest opinion about that failure of a pay per view? That
The
didn't
failure
use.
of that pay per view.
Well, I'm not. That was my words because a lot of people say that it was a failure of a pay per view. Not like the attendance records, the overall rating of it. That's why I'm saying that.
I don't know. During that pay per view, yeah. They had some issues, but like I said, we stepped to the plate and we always performed at our highest level. But behind closed doors, we were frustrated because we weren't getting paid. But I think we gave the best that we can give on those type of shows. I don't see any issue that it was a bad production. It was just the morale was down in the locker room. But once we walked through the curtain, our game was on.
So moving back to the one night stand event, this one specific one back into a year prior in 2005, where I think one of your ECW colleagues, Blue Meanie, was involved in like some type of shoot fight, between ECW originals and WWE originals, like JBL and Blue Meanie got like into a real shoot fight, and Blue Meanie was bleeding, or not even bleeding to that, just having an all out brawl.
Yeah, you got punched in the face by JBL. Yeah.
What was your honest opinion like when you first heard it, or if you weren't even watching it, or if you kind of heard it in the news somewhere and you later find out the details? What was your honest opinion about it?
I think JBL was a bully. I think he was always known as a bully because he thought he was a badass, and a lot of people had never tested him because they was afraid of confrontation, and that's why it was more of his intimidation factor with the APA and stuff like that. But that's why Joey Styles knocked him out. Put him on his ass. But I just think that he's just a bully, and he picked on Meanie for no apparent reason. I just think it was unprofessional. I heard that he apologized to Meanie years later, but still, that was not cool.
Yeah, that was honestly unprofessional. JBL is kind of like this old backstage bully. I'm surprised. Well, he's still at least he's not wrestling. He's not like. He used to be real stiff with Ron Simmons as the APA. No, I'm not criticizing them, but what they did to Public Enemy back in the day, where they basically just did this shoot fight. The Public Enemy, it's basically just got like dropped, like got real stiff punches and power bombed and like all over the place. Like hit him with steel stairs and all that. Honestly, that in my opinion, that's kind of like really really grueling to like a debut team like Public Enemy. Moving on in all your tenure in ECW, throughout the hardcore matches and through like that you've witnessed or was in, if you had to pick one moment or one match in ECW that was most hardcore, what would you say? What would be like the most like more in like entertaining hardcore match that you watched or been in? If you had to pick one.
Ooh, my most hardcore match that I ever been in,
or watched, it doesn't matter.
I'm trying to think. I think that for me personally, I'm not saying that that was the all be all, but I think because I see matches with John Cronus, New Jack. There's just many hardcore matches that were really out there. well, like the Taipei Death match. But if I was choosing one for my personal self, I'd say the Balls Mahoney Chili Willy Flaming Potatoes match.
Mm. We also we had a couple of other ECW originals like Chris Camrick that um, that I've actually gotten to interview lately. Well, we had a lot of to tell you the truth, we kind of had a lot of issues with Zoom and Google Meet and the Facebook in general. We contacted through Facebook, and we had the point to give little phone numbers. Give me his phone number to continue it because it's kind of little technology problems. That's what I was saying about Zoom. So kind of one of the last question on here, but if we could end it at this question if you want, you could keep going, or you said you had cardio in a couple in a few or in a while.
Yeah, I just do my cardio, try to get it in.
So I don't want to interrupt on that. If you had to pick one brand to be on in WWE if you were called up, what would you be? Like Raw, SmackDown, Live, NXT 2K?
Back then or now?
It doesn't matter. It could be from the Attitude Era or the beginning of Raw and SmackDown and NXT. It doesn't have to be from now. If you had to.
I want to say if it was back then, I would, of course, this is going to be that. So that's go or be all, because basically, I mean, even though you love the business, it's all about making that type of money to support your family and secure your future. So, I mean, I would have gone wherever the money would have been. If it was WCW or WWE at the time, I would have went there. I'm not knocking anything else. I mean, ROH would have been definitely a great thing after ECW because that grew to So if I knew then what I knew now, I definitely would have jumped on that.
I see. So, well, then there you have it, Mr. Angel Medina, or known as the Spanish Angel of Dibaldi's. You can follow him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and he has a podcast. You can say what the podcast is for the people that want to tune into your stories with Vince Russo and all that. If you want to, the spotlight's on you. Basically, what I'm saying is, hold on one second.
Thank you.
All right, so hold on. So it's real good. Okay, so the spotlight's on you. It kind of got cut out when you were speaking. It kind of froze. So that's what it usually does.
Sure, no problem. I mean, I appreciate you plugging on my podcast. Definitely check out my podcast at Wrestling with Tragedy on the Russo Brand and the Realm channel. Also on MWA Network, Podcast Network. You can definitely check me out in Killing the Business, along with King Mega and Glenn Saxton. There's also Nights at the Gimmick Table. There's also Get Funked with Kiwi from WCW. And, of course, Chewing the Shit with Pierce Austin. A lot of great shows on there. Definitely check them out. Definitely find us on Twitch and on YouTube.
All right. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come with me and kind of chillax in this little lounge to talk about your past experiences with ECW. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Kyle. Thank you for having me on.
Hope you have a good cardio workout.
Thanks, I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Well, there you have it. Mr. Angel Medina, Spanish Angel. We're part of Dibaldi's. You can check out his podcast, like he previously said. So, I hope that you like it. If for the people that were new here, you like and subscribe and turn on all post notifications so you never miss a episode of Wrestling Around. If you're watching on Periscope, then follow me on Twitter. Just follow my account on Twitter at Game Master Clark. I also do have an Instagram if you want to go on that. It's the same thing, Game Master Clarkson, Game Master _Clarkson. For the people on YouTube, subscribe, turn on notifications, like I previously said. I don't want to keep repeating myself. But next coming up is actually a big one that we're going to have. Is going to be surprising. coming up this Saturday is going to be a WWE legend. It's going to be a WWE legend, Ahmed Johnson, the Pearl River Powerhouse. So thank you for taking the time out of your day once again, Mr. Angel Medina, Spanish Angel, whatever you want me to call you. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, and at least tomorrow on YouTube in the next stream, Wrestling Wednesday. Me and my buddy are doing DCW. It's going to be a blast. See ya.